What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can tell, we got ourselves a little bit of a young static Honda vlogs and current Honda Street Garage vibe going on. So right here behind me, we got a 88 Civic hatch. I don't know the model. It's one that didn't come with AC or power steering or something and all that jazz. But this car is a little bit different than your run-of-the-mill EFs that you would see on the road today. This thing honestly is kind of like a hidden gem of sort from the early 2000s era. This thing has lots of good old school parts. It has a pretty cool paint job on it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the two-tone, but I have to respect the quality of the paint, and like the color is really cool and everything. But yeah, it's got some good parts on it. It's got a really good engine in it, and we're gonna be doing some fab work to it. Probably gonna take up 1 or 2 videos. Not totally sure yet. I got the car for a couple days. I have a small list of things that I actually have to do to it, so I may end up just trying to squeeze it into 1 video, but I may take the actually no, I'm probably gonna do 2 because I want to be able to really showcase some of the stuff that I'm doing. None of it's really crazy. It's a lot of the stuff that I've been doing recently to a lot of customer cars that get dropped off and I make videos on, but nonetheless, I figure why not? I know EFs are a pretty hot topic on YouTube right now, so I may as well try and get a little bit of extra out of the chain, or whatever you want to say. But yeah, let me show you the car really quick. So I know it looks a little rough around the edges right now because it's got rained on the other day since we had some rain. The front bumper's in the hatch and whatnot because we got some work to do under it, or behind the bumper. But overall, I mean, this thing is pretty darn cool. So right off the bat, you'll notice this paint job is definitely very early 2000s spec. So the whole two-tone, the pinstriping, all that stuff. It's got a really nice color to it. Like, it's almost like a reddish, like cherry wine type color. I don't even know, but it looks really nice, especially on the cleaner parts of the car. It's got a carbon fiber hood. I'm not too sure on the brand, but underneath this hood we got ourselves a JDM spec B18C. So I believe this one, he said, came from a ITR, which is it's pretty darn cool. The motor, obviously, as you heard, it fired right up like second crank cold start. And this thing's a pretty nice little setup. He's got some nice Hatsport engine mounts in there. He's got the Hatsport cable to hydro type doohickey conversion thing. Looks like he has some sort of, actually it looks like a Max Peating Rods traction bar. eBay turbo with a cast manifold with a tile wastegate. A little bit of supporting mods, I believe, up in here. But overall, this thing, it even has AC still in here, which is going to be kind of tedious to work around, but we're going to do our best to make it work. It's got the working windshield like washer fluid stuff. And then if you come in here, oh, it's got these slips. I believe these are slips because I don't think the real Regamasters have that, but it does have the Wilwood, looks like the DHPA kit on here, which is nice. The nice heavy steel lug nuts, color matched or whatever. So these are the nicer quality ones. These aren't like your regular Gorilla style ones or whatever. But the door, I noticed, just opens so beautifully. Like, it's so opens and closes just so nice. But another thing I noticed, and he had mentioned that one of the previous owners had actually gone to the dealership and replaced like the trim and stuff around here, because I know these things are oftentimes broken on these cars. But this thing is just in very good condition. The window rolls up and down just beautifully, like there's no hesitation, doesn't feel all gummed up. So mind you, the interior right now is pretty dirty. It is Arizona, it is a desert, we have lots of dust and dirt, but look at that old school big O tack on there. And then we got the boost gauge, the AFR, and the oil pressure gauge right there. I believe they do all work. One of the things I have to do is finish hooking up this. It's already wired in, I believe he said. I just gotta add the bung because I'm building an exhaust. The shifter feels like a short throw shifter. I'm not sure of the brand. But yeah, bucket seats in here. And then, yeah, you guys get the idea. This thing is a pretty cool little time capsule. And I believe he does have the rear seats, probably at his house, but I'm sure he took them out to put all the parts in here to bring the car over. And what's cool is this guy actually lives like literally like 4 minutes away from me, and I've never seen this car around. I know he said he recently bought it from like North Phoenix area, and this guy had the car for years and years. Even looking in the door jambs, all the jambs are painted, and the two-tone comes up the windowsill here. That's pretty neat. That's there's a lot of attention to detail, I guess, in the car, even though it may not look like it on the camera. There's quite a few things that even I'm sure I'm missing right now that is quite noticeable about this car. So we have like I said, a list of things that we got to do. So one of the main things is build an exhaust port. We got the exhaust components over there in the box next to the AC unit. He supplied us like a MagnaFlow muffler, like an OE style, and a big old resonator. We have to hook up, mount the intercooler, fabricate some sort of mount like that, but one of the things I have to do, which I know some of you EF guys have been asking about, is bumper bars for the EFs. Well, this is the car that I'm going to make them on, because I have to make a bumper bar for this car in order to fit the intercooler. It's not a huge intercooler, but I mean, there's like no room, I can tell, with the AC lines, with having the factory bumper cover, with all that jazz. So we're going to be making a bumper bar, which is what I'm going to start here in a moment. And then we got to finish the hot side and then fabricate the cold side piping, build the exhaust like I said, attach the dump tube into the exhaust, hook up the catch can, and then yeah, I think that's more or less it. Then we also got to make a little intake for the turbo itself, but overall everything is here. These AC lines are a bit crusty, so I think it works. Anyway, I'm not here to fix the AC, but yeah, so the hardest part, I think, honestly, is going to be mounting the intercooler stuff, doing all that to make sure that it all fits, it tucks away nicely, and then making the dump tube right here, curve around all of this to tie into the downpipe. That's going to be a huge pain in the butt. Yeah, actually, now that I'm looking at that, I might even have to get a second set of V-bands for this, because I don't know that I'm going to be able to attach that without, like, to get the downpipe off if it's one big old solid piece. I might have to add a joint here in the middle. But I'll text him, I'll let him know that I think I'm going to need that. I might even have one here that I can just use, but I'll have to check. So first things first, let's get this bumper cover out of the hatch. Let's try and mock up the intercooler and start there. So I can see this is already going to be an issue, because that bumper bar is just huge and in the way. Because the intercooler, he wants it to be up higher, obviously, because we have to clear the midsection of the bumper. And although, like I said, this is not a big intercooler by any means, there's just not enough room. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the bumper bar and kind of go on from there. So the way I go about making my bumper bars is, ideally, I'm going to have to test fit the bumper cover itself, but I'm going to try and make this kind of like I made my Integra one. So I'm going to remove this foam, because we won't be needing this anymore. I mean, not going to throw it away or nothing, but we're just going to set that off to the side, and we're going to try and get our bumper bar to tuck up into there. So I'm going to take some measurements, pull up my program on the computer, get a drawing made up, and then I do have some tube here, so we'll test bend a piece and hopefully it works. And then once I have my piece attached to the bumper, from there I'll kind of find a way to hold it in place in the bumper, tape it, do whatever, and then I will have to make some mounting plates that copy the bolt holes obviously to the factory plates, and then I just got to find a way to attach the plate to that. let's kind of once over really quick what I did for this bumper bar. I gotta test fit it still to make sure it fits. So basically what I've done so far, you saw me get the measurements inside the bumper to get the dimensions of the main bar. I typed that into my bending program, and I was able to get the dimensions that I wanted and the length and all that. So I did that, you saw me bend it up. And then for the mounting plates, all I did was trace out the flat piece on the factory unit here and drilled some holes to that, got those bolted to the car. And then I gently put the bumper cover on. That was the hardest part, doing it by myself because the bar kept wanting to fall out of it. And then to get my support legs, yeah, that's always the hardest part. So basically the way I've started doing that now, because my very first bumper bar I made was a lot harder. I'm using a little support stits, rods or whatever you want to call them. So I just cut some little tubes up to length, and I kind of just tacked them in place to hold the bar where I need it off the plate. And then I pulled it off the car, I brought it in here, I got some more measurements, got some angles, and then I came in and just fabbed up some little support rods. So hopefully these ones fit. My main issue with this EF bumper is it's not the same as the DA, I mean obviously, but dimensionally, like inside where I want it to attach, and that's kind of the problem. So yeah, my main concern is that these support tubes are going to be hitting the top of the turn signal housing thing, and the thing that sucks is the guy didn't leave me with the turn signals. I gotta text him and see if he can bring them so I can help my clearance for that. But we'll see. I tried to put these as close to the top of the plate as I could. Worst comes to worst, I can add about another inch of height on the top of the plate, and I can kind of try and make the bar come straight out instead of at what the 25-degree angle it is now. But let's test fit on the car really quick and see what we're working with so far. So that fits up pretty well. For whatever reason, even with the other bumper bar, his bumper wants to kind of sit out right there. That's probably just a matter of fidgeting with that or whatever. But overall, the bumper fitment seems pretty good. There's nothing I can really do for this top piece, because this, obviously, like you guys probably know better than me, is metal. And I think the factory unit kind of attaches to that. But overall, like it's sitting where I want it to. So I gotta peek up in there and see if we got room. But it feels like we cleared it, you know? So. Yeah, I'm actually pretty stoked on that. I think this is going to work out perfectly. So if that's the case, then I can go ahead, weld this thing up, you know. I'm probably going to leave it tacked together as is because there's a little bit of warpage that goes on when you weld it. So that way I can fixture it. So again, I'm going to just kind of double check everything, and then from here we can go ahead and start mounting the intercooler. So as I'm getting this intercooler mocked up, I'm looking, and it's going to fit pretty darn well, I do believe. So only thing I have to do is trim that plate right there, just because he has the coupler wanting to go through there. But otherwise, all I have to do is add a couple little flat pieces of metal here with some hole, or with a hole in it, to attach the top part of the intercooler. And then just to keep it really firm on the bottom side here, I think what I'm going to do is just use a riv nut and attach 2 tabs to the core support there, and just use another piece of metal to come out to the bolt holes there, and that should mount up the intercooler nice. And I gotta finish welding this. Like I said, I just tacked it on better, but I did put my little badge on there, so represent, you know. But yeah, so far so good. I'm pretty happy with the outcome so far. And once this intercooler is mounted, then all I have to do is get the little 90 to fit right here. And then all I have to do is get the intercooler pipe to go from right here and bring it up right there to the to this rod body. So there we go, guys. What do you think of that? I actually don't even need the bottom tabs because these top 2 ones are definitely solid enough. So it's all mounted up. Obviously the intercooler can come off separate from the bumper bar or with it. It's all welded together. I do have to trim the bumper, so I did text the owner and I'm just waiting for him to respond on if it's okay if I trim it or if he wants to trim it. But you can see the center portion of the grill right here just has to come out, and then it should fit perfect.
So I don't think he'll have a problem with that. Obviously he's going for function, not really form, but either way, just the grill cutout is still gonna look great with this thing, but I am stoked because that looks good. And it puts that boot right where I needed it to down there. And again, like I said, we can get that access point for the little 90 right over there just fine. So that's a win-win. So at the moment I am just finishing up trying to get the hot side part of the intercooler setup done, and then I think after that we'll end this video off. So as you guys know, there's no room in there, so I'm kind of having to use the 2-inch to 2.5-inch adapter off of the intercooler to go in there, and then he's got a piece of pipe that was already ran from the turbo under the downpipe. He had to kind of dent it up a little bit, so he's not going for max power anyway, so that's not a concern. But we got to shorten this coupler down a little bit to be able to fit a piece of pipe in there. So as you can see, I only need to get like a 3-inch piece of pipe. So I'm gonna trim one up really quick, slap it in there, and we'll be good. Well, mission accomplished, got it done. So obviously I'm not gonna put any of the clamps on for now because I don't know what else I'm gonna have to do to this thing, like in terms of taking stuff on and off. So I'm gonna wait till I'm done fabricating everything before I tighten everything down. But yeah, I want to do the cold side of this video, but it's gonna be a little bit more tricky than just cutting a straight piece of pipe right there. So I'm gonna save that for the next video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one though. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you've considered subscribing by now. If you want to see more of this EF stuff, stick around for a few more videos. I'll try and squeeze a little bit more juice out of this thing and just take my time, do some good work on it. DA stuff will be picking up here in a bit once I get, you know, obviously customer cars done and whatnot. Because next up on the DA is the roll bar. So be looking out for that. Anyways, guys, do what you love, forget about the rest. If you want to help support the channel, I do have merch and whatnot in the big cartel where you can also buy DA harness bars. I have a few left. I have a bumper bar left. Anyways, go check out the big cartel in the description. Anyways, guys, peace out.